Okay, I have to do a bit of safety before we get into our tunnel here. My name's Jane, you've got Matt in the middle there.
Hello, Matt.
Matt Middler.
There, he's the handsome one in the middle. We've got some flotation devices within the boat, which are these big orange rings. We've also got first aid kit and fire extinguishers on board should the need arise. In the event of an emergency, just listen to anything said to you by myself or Matt, like swim. Around the inside of the boat you'll see this piece of metal on the top, which is this green bit of metal running all the way around the boat. It's green to hide the blood. Don't dangle anything over this or you will lose it, because they are very tight tunnels and a very big metal boat. Don't dangle the husband, wife, grannies, granddads, anything over the sides, legs, arms, because you will lose them. Boat will touch the sides because, as I say, these tunnels are very narrow. If you wish to take photos, please do, but knock off your flashes because you'll get better photos without the flash and you won't blind me on the back. Matt's best side is his right, I haven't got one. Okay, while I was talking to you I managed to get it in the hole, which is the first time this week. So, okay, we're in our first tunnel here. This is called the Dudley Tunnel because it's a tunnel and it's in Dudley. You'll find out we're very good at naming our tunnels around here. It's also called the Lord Ward Tunnel because it's named after the Earl of Dudley that had it built in 1775. Took him 3 years to complete this and he built it so that he could get his iron ore and coal away from these, and his limestone, away from these mines down here as fast as possible. As we go along here you'll see some white stuff running down the walls. I'll try licking it, it's a custard or ice cream. It's called calcite, and calcite's a bit like the limescale you find in your kettle at home. You'll also see that it's formed some nice stalactites above our heads. These are called straw stalactites. They grow to about 5 inches and then fall off, hence why we're wearing these lovely hats. If that calcite that you see is white, you know there's limestone behind our walls. If it's black, you know there's coal. And if it's reddy colour, you know there's iron ore behind our tunnel walls. Now you'll also see some nice fat black spiders going along our tunnel here. Okay, don't worry about it, it's breeding season for spiders, okay, so they've got other things on their minds at the moment, they ain't going to bother you. That's unless they fancy you and then we know we've got a problem. Now we're just about to go under our first construction shaft. If you look above your heads, we've even left the Christmas lights up for you so you can see it. I'll tell you a bit more about this one on the way out. Now in front of the boat we're just coming out into daylight here. On the right hand side as we come out, if you look you'll see the entrance to our first mine there. That is called Tipton Mine. Goes in about 20 feet and drops about 80, so it's below our feet the mine is. That was a coal and limestone mine. On the left hand side you'll see what's called flooded mine. As the name suggests, you work in there, you'll be working in 2 to 3 foot of water during your 12-hour shift, and that is also a limestone mine there. Nest mine there. Wren's Nest mine joins up with something called the Seven Sisters Cavern Network. That's a huge local cavern network which we'd love to reopen here, but it's going to cost us about £28 million. And we haven't got £28 million, but we do have some nice donation tins which we opened this morning, and we found out we got €2 and a trolley token, so I think it's going to be a while before we open that up for you. But if anybody's rich on our boat and they fancy naming a cabin after them, please see me or Matt afterwards. Now I say this is Castle Mill Basin. Used to be the entrances to 5 different mines here, so whenever you got another boat. Now this is our 1989 tunnel. Our 1989 tunnel, as the name suggests, was built in 1989. It was built to replace one of our older tunnels that got in a dangerous state, built by Dudley Canal Trust. Also called the Waffle Tunnel, as you can tell by the inside of it. Now this is called egg box construction. This is the modern way of building any tunnel today. I'll tell you a bit more about this when we get in one of our other tunnels. But we covered this egg box construction in what called shotcrete to protect it, but you can still see where that limestone has found its way through, the calcite has found its way through. And that means that we've got something behind our walls called amnesty limestone, because this calcite is brilliant white. That amnesty limestone is the strongest and most purest form of limestone, and that's why this area was heavily mined. And when we built this tunnel, we actually found a fault within that limestone, and that's what we're following today. That's why our little tunnel's a little bit wide. We're just coming into our first little cavern here, which is called Little Tess. On the left-hand side, we're going to have a video which is going to tell us all about the geological importance of Dudley and the surrounding area. Kind of sets us up for the rest of our trip because it tells us about our caverns and what limestone's all about. If you'd like to stand up on the right-hand side, please feel free to. But here we go. This is our own little Tess. Into our second cavern here. Our second cavern is called Singing Cavern, so named by the miners because the wind used to whistle through the entrance and around some big pillars of rock that was left behind to keep up the roof, and it used to sound like people singing, hence Singing Cavern. The canal network in over 100 years, because up to then, each year we'd actually lost part of that canal network, so it was quite a big deal to have something put back onto that network. They are knocking in a metal spike into our rock face there, and I call them Anton Deck, and that's our very own Anton Deck there. They're knocking in a metal spike into that rock face. It goes in for about a metre. Then they pull it out, that hole is then filled with gunpowder, and then in comes the cavern foreman, who's Mr. Hurst.
Get ready to blast! Stand clear!
So then he clears out all the miners. The rest of them go above ground, they get a cup of tea, go and have the corned beef sandwich, and in comes little Jimmy. Little Jimmy is 9 years old, and he comes in with his candle, because that's his job, to light the fuse. And he has to sit there and wait for that fuse to get to that rock face as close as possible, because if it goes out, he's got to relight it. Why do they use a 9-year-old boy? Well, potentially a 9-year-old boy can run faster than a 27-year-old man. I say potentially. Child mortality down here was very, very high. 1 in 7 children perished. They'd either die with that rock falling on them, or they die of disease with that lime dust getting in their eyes or in their lungs. Earl of Dudley once quoted as saying, "I don't care if I lose a couple of 9-year-old boys. Big families at the time, I can always get another one." That's the whole. Limestone 4 to 5 times to see our very pretty construction shaft. There we go. You don't get to see these very often, so it is quite nice to be able to show you these. Now I'll go back very slowly so you can all take your photographs of this. Normally we call this the Eiffel Tower. We call this our Black Country version of the Eiffel Tower because when it rains in Dudley, the water seems to find its way down our construction shaft. So when you look up, you normally get an eye full of water. So we call it our Eiffel Tower. These oceans. And on our left here, if you want to stand up on the right, Matt will point these out to the front of the boat as we come round, okay? But they've very kindly put a big arrow in for me. There we go, on the left-hand side here. That's our fossil wall, okay? We've got a crustacean. We've got all, you can see all the little ridges in it. Then you come down what looks like a limpet. There's a big one we found in this area, so we were very proud of him. He ended up on our coat of arms for quite a long time. There you'll see one of the original blast marks, and all above our heads here, all the black stuff, that's all the remains of that. Today you actually saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I know it's corny and it really But that lamp, right, it had a good use because the Earl of Dudley put that there, because what we're on now is the exit to all these caverns. And any of the full boats that he wanted to get out and back onto the main canal network would follow. Stay safe, have a good day, and thank you very much again for coming and joining us today. So thank you very much everyone. Thank you.